Last week I made a Monster Hunter video sharing my impressions as a newcomer of the demo and how I felt I shouldn't buy it. And then the YouTube algorithm went out and said, hey, Monster Hunter community, come here. So I got to meet one hell of an amazing community.
Here's your review.
So if you're new to the channel, this is a bit of a unorthodox type of video. I usually share my impressions of gaming experiences I have through usually reviews of playing games, but this is the first time I've had a video of my impressions really take off and draw an entire community. I mean, this video that I put out on my Monster Hunter Rise impressions has got 7,000 views at this point, but more importantly, it has over 350 comments in there, most of which, of which I've read all of them. Maybe 4 of you are very impolite and need to learn how to talk on the internet, and the rest of you, what an amazing community. These comments were not just get good, there was maybe a few of those, but the bulk of the Monster Hunter community came out and said, I get you, man. I felt like that when I started Monster Hunter, and a lot of them shared a lot of tips and a lot of insights into what the Monster Hunter journey is of trying the game, thinking and feeling like it's sluggish, but having the perseverance and the patience to experiment with the different weapons, figuring out what works for you, and playing with other players. And apparently there's like this magic moment that just clicks and everything's amazing. Now, just from that feedback alone, I have to say I was inspired to go back to the demo, and I played around a bit. I did not know that there was Hunter's Notes that showed you about combos with the different weapons. And I took some of your advice and I went back with the sword and shield, which felt a lot better. And I saw the combos and I was like, all right, let's take the time to be a little bit more strategic, because clearly I went into this franchise not understanding what the expectation is of the player, and I didn't understand this. So I played around a bit. I did the beginner quest again with the sword and shield, using the combos and being more aware of how the game is expecting the player to play. And I have to say it was a very different experience, and it was a lot more interesting. Now, a lot of you have said it takes 50 to 100 hours to play, to be in this community, to really experience that rush of, I just destroyed this amazing monster and all that. And I have to say, I am so appreciative of all of you coming out to this channel to share your insights and your background and being kind, most of all. There's so many communities out there where it's so easy to hate on someone who thinks differently of you, but I have had over hundreds of comments of kindness trying to introduce me to the Monster Hunter community. And I've been told a lot that the Monster Hunter Rise title might not be the good entry point for this, that newcomers should probably start with Monster Hunter World. So I looked it up. I might dabble in it when it hits a certain price point. Honestly, the type of player that I am, type of gamer that I am, is I like to go through my games fairly quick. I like to experience a lot of different types of games. So I will oftentimes cycle through 4 to 5 different types of pretty heavy games per month so that I can experience as many games as I can. And I always play these games to completion unless I don't like it. Monster Hunter has such a, it sounds like it has such a demanding amount of time to it that I would have to scale down how many different types of games I play, and that's just not something I'm really into right now, between balancing work, balancing family life, and all these other commitments. I just can't see myself stepping up to the plate that the Monster Hunter game requires for a player to really kind of have that moment that clicks. And a lot of you said you have to give it the time, you have to give it the patience, you have to give it that commitment. I'm not there yet, but I have to say all of you have really made me have a second look at that. So I had to come out here and make a video of this just because I've never had a video on this channel take off the way that one did. And it's unfortunate that's a somewhat negative one, but I'm really glad that it got me introduced to this community, because it's one I didn't know about. It's one I'm more curious about now, and it's just amazing. And if this is your first time discovering this channel, I hope you guys stick around. There's a lot of other content. Like I said, I go through a lot of games every month. I share my thoughts on it. A lot of times it's positive. Sometimes if it's disappointed, it's usually not because the game is bad. It's oftentimes just my tastes as a gamer. But if sometimes I do play bad games, and there are some videos on this channel which are just bad games that are terrible, I will definitely talk about that. So that's the type of content that's here, and it's really just sharing my journey as a gamer with all of you. But to all of those who did leave a comment on that last video, thank you so much for dropping a note. Thanks for giving some tips to this noob. I really hope that someday I can enjoy the Monster Hunter experience like with all of you. But until then, I hope to see you around on the next video, and keep it classy.